From the Detroit Free Press, in the heart of the Motor City, it's Friday, May 22nd. Here are today's top stories, presented by Bush's Fresh Food Market. Bush's has over 4,000 Michigan products, including the freshest fruit and vegetables, meat, seafood, and baked goods. Stop by one of Bush's 16 locations for the personal service you expect from your neighborhood grocer.
This is Todd Spangler, Washington correspondent with the Detroit Free Press. Governor Whitmer is taking additional steps to reopen businesses and bring life back to normal in Michigan. On Thursday, she said people could start to gather in groups of 10 or less, effective immediately. That's good news ahead of the Memorial Day weekend. She also says that starting next Tuesday, retail businesses that sell goods and auto showrooms can reopen as long as it's for appointment-only shopping. On May 29th, doctors and dentists will be able to open for non-emergency services, and so will veterinary offices. The change comes as the rate of new cases and deaths from COVID-19 continue to decline in Michigan.
So, this is another positive step forward in the re-engagement. We've taken significant steps forward to re-engage our economy safely and responsibly over the past few weeks. Now we're going to need to take some time to ensure that these new measures are working.
Outside of northern Michigan, however, many businesses will remain closed. They include bars and restaurants to in-house customers, as well as gyms, salons, and entertainment venues. And everyone is being reminded that even if they do go out and shop or socialize, to wear masks and stay 6 feet apart.
I'm Frank Witzel with the Detroit Free Press. In the aftermath of the mid-Michigan flooding, Governor Gretchen Whitmer reiterated that residents are living through tough times, but needed to remain vigilant and helpful, especially during the Memorial Day weekend.
We're all Michiganders, and it's more important than ever that we remember that first and foremost, and that we take care of one another. Because this is truly a crisis in the middle of a crisis.
In addition, she talked more about her conversation Wednesday with President Donald Trump, who, in the past, has targeted her in critical tweets and remarks. Whitmer said that if he were to tour the devastation in Midland, she agreed to accompany him, and she made a case for rebuilding Michigan's infrastructure, not just the dam roads, which she campaigned on, but dams and roads. National Weather Service maps of high river water levels throughout Michigan still showed the potential for flooding throughout the state, including flood warnings on rivers in southwest Michigan and a lakeshore flood warning in Wayne County.
For the Detroit Free Press, I'm Yanchi Jackson. Tim Evans loves Pontiac Fiero so much that he ran a museum to showcase and sell the short-lived sports cars to collectors from around the world. And so when floodwaters from the Tittabawassee River began approaching his business in Sanford earlier this week, 73-year-old Evans scrambled to save his cars.
We had moved everything up out of the water, and my daughter had been doing that while I was moving the cars, and she got everything that mattered up about 3 feet. Well, it swept everything off the walls.
He thought his beloved collection would be safe on dry ground, but then the Edenville Dam broke. All of his 20 Fieros except for one were flooded. The surge flipped Fieros onto their roofs and left them scattered along the road. A pace car from the 1984 Indianapolis 500 was pushed up against a fire hydrant. Another car was nearly submerged by floodwater. All of this damage comes just as Evans was trying to sell his collection. He'd recently put his cars up for auction after suffering a stroke a few years back, but the coronavirus pandemic delayed the sales. The Michigan Fiero Club estimates that GM built about 370,000 Fieros before stopping their production in 1988. Evans has been collecting them for more than a decade. It's devastating to see the rare cars destroyed, he said, and despite his precautions, the building he owns where he stored the cars was badly damaged too.
I'm Mary Ann Struman, breaking news editor for the Detroit Free Press. Talk to anyone at one of Michigan's many recycling centers, and they'll tell you they've seen it all. It's unbelievable what people put in their recycling bins. Used drug syringes, dead rats, and especially those dreaded plastic grocery bags that ruin equipment. But this one tops them all. Someone in Kent County this week tried to recycle a live Civil War cannonball. Workers at the Kent County Recycling Center, called Reimagine Trash, came across a 6-inch, 6-pound shot put ball on the processing line, according to the Grand Rapids Police. The Civil War cannonball was live, forcing the center to evacuate until the Michigan State Police bomb squad got rid of the device. They still don't know how it got there. Kent County Commissioner Phil Skaggs offered this advice in a Facebook post this week. If you run across one, cannonballs are not recyclable.
I'm Kirkland Crawford with the Free Press Sports Department and a look at the Michigan-Ohio State football rivalry. And that's a bit of a loose term nowadays since the Wolverines have dominated the Wolverines in the last decade and have kept head coach Jim Harbaugh winless in his return to Ann Arbor in this matchup. One assistant coach who has borne a brunt of the criticism, too, has been Michigan defensive coordinator Don Brown. The Wolverines have struggled to keep Ohio State out of the end zone in recent years, but Brown told the media on Thursday not to blame his players. "You blame the old guy," Brown said. Quote, "I got to do a better job of getting our guys ready, and I promise you I'm going to," end quote. It's hard to boil down why Ohio State has dominated to just one reason, and while it's noble for Brown to try to fall on the sword again, it doesn't fall just at his feet. There are many to blame, including, well, Ohio State too.
For more stories from the Detroit Free Press, be sure to check out freep.com. That's FREEP.com. If you're a fan and want to support our quality local journalism, subscribe. Go to freep.com/special offer.